I never wanted to own a business. So the reason why I made the jump from esthetician to business owner was because I was unhappy where I was working, that I didn't like having to have clients in and out super quickly. It was definitely a change, but I do think that life set me up for success with it, because at the same time I started networking with other estheticians that were solo and building friendships through that, and them recommending to me what I should and shouldn't be doing to be successful. I was recommended a business mentor, and my 2 other friends took her program as well, and all 3 of us did 6 figures in the first year. My name is Kristina DeMarco. I've been a licensed esthetician for 6 years. I've been in business for 2 years, and I own Harbor & Co. Aesthetics in Woodbury. I focus in lymphatic drainage and buccal massage. I don't believe in Botox, fillers, aggressive lasers, and chemical peels. I want to focus more on being resourceful within our own bodies and using what nature has given us to achieve comfortability within your own skin.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great. Let's break that down a little bit further.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot to talk about, just even that first statement that you
Yeah.
made. I'm curious, before we even get into all of the background of what that means,
Mhm.
because I think that I understand a bit of it, but there's still a ton that I don't understand.
Yeah.
What I'm curious is, one thing you said is that you don't believe in Botox and all the things you want to work with in the body.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as this culture shift happens, where I think are becoming closer to the way things used to be. Has that affected your business? Like, like, do you find more people are interested in this as opposed to 5 years ago? When did you say? I'm sorry. How long have you been in
I've
business?
been in business well, I've been an esthetician for 6 years, but in business for 2
Yeah.
years.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But for example, a couple of years ago, this was a very different conversation,
Yeah.
and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I would say I noticed, though, when I first got into the industry, that that's when Botox and filler was really skyrocketing. But I think in any industry, the pendulum always swings. So around 2016, 2018, it was very like Botox, filler, and now it's starting to swing back to let's focus on more natural things. And I think people are starting to notice that you're getting side effects from Botox and filler that doctors or injectors didn't tell them about, and they're not really that happy with.
Side effects being what?
With filler specifically, that it migrates and it moves. A lot of people get what's called filler fatigue, which is you just pumped a ton of volume into your face, but now it's actually starting to sag the skin because there's a lot of weight there and it's bringing it down. That they feel like, I know clients that have done under eye filler and then they have a lot of problems afterwards. Like they're just getting a lot of swelling in the corner of their eyes. Botox specifically, I do believe that if you freeze one area of your face, you're going to start to use muscles in other areas. So you're just kind of getting wrinkles in different areas of your face. So, but a lot of my clients have come to me saying that they did it, they wish they didn't do it because they felt like they didn't look like themselves and they felt like it wasn't really doing much. And then it's kind of like this hamster wheel that every time you do it, you need more and more. So it's not really effective long term.
So talk to me about lymphatic drainage, and you said bugle.
Buccal massage, yeah. So buccal massage is I wear a glove and I massage the inside of your mouth, and it feels great. It's my client's favorite part. It's really relaxing. A lot of people sleep through it, but it's very different and very eye-opening. A lot of people don't expect that to happen in a facial.
I don't know anything about this, so you
Yeah.
have to elaborate. What part of
So,
the whole mouth, a particular spot?
kind of. So when I do it, I do the top and the bottom of the jaw, and it's meant to improve TMJ pain. It does help with lymphatic flow and sculpting. So I'll go in with my thumb on the inside, and then I'll use my fingers on the outside and my free hand and massage this way. Yeah. It feels great, and a lot of people hold tension in their jaw. A lot of people struggle with biting and clenching and grinding their teeth in the middle of the night. So I've had clients come to me, we start to loosen up the tension that's inside of your cheek muscle, because I can massage on the outside, but when you massage on the inside, you're getting both sides of the muscle, so it really helps. And as we release any of the tension in the muscle, it takes pressure off the joint. So your muscles have memory as well. If they're always used to being clenched and tightening and stress, we have to unlearn that muscle memory and relearn and retrain the muscle to stay relaxed.
That's wild.
It is wild, yeah.
Where did you learn that? Where does that come
Yeah,
from?
so when I was working in a spa, I was seeing a ton of videos on Instagram, and California is always like a little bit ahead of us. So I saw it was pretty popular in California and Europe. Just doing face massage as a whole is really popular there, and it does take time for Western culture to catch up to things like this. So I saw videos like that, and I always knew in aesthetic school, a lot of girls talked about wanting to go into medical aesthetics, and I knew I wanted to be in a day spa. I truly love massaging people and making people feel relaxed. So I knew that that was the area I wanted to go in, and the current spa I was working at just didn't allow room for me to evolve that way, so I went off on my own. But I would say Instagram is really where I saw the potential of what I could do instead of just doing simple
And then
massage
where do you
movements.
learn the process of actually doing that?
I learned the process of doing it by online courses, and I did train with a facialist in Costa Rica. She hosted a retreat. Yeah. So it was really cool. I got to learn her face massage technique there. It was a really unique experience, but online courses is really where I've learned it, and I've taken a few in person as well. I trained in the city too.
Now talk to me about lymphatic drainage. I know of the lymph nodes, but I don't
Yeah,
know what
like
they
what it
do.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that's what I've noticed. A lot of people, it became really trendy to do lymphatic drainage, and people know it's great, but nobody really knows what it is.
I'm not even sure I know what the lymph nodes do, so.
Yeah, so your lymph nodes are filters throughout your entire body. We have 600 to 800 lymph nodes in our whole body, and about 200 of them are in the chest, the neck, and the face. So your lymph node is like a little filter, and as your lymph vessel carries this fluid through to the lymph node, it kind of acts like TSA at the airport. Like it's going to check every virus, bacteria, pathogen that's going through it and determine, does this stay in the body or is this an invader and we need to detox it out. So the way that lymphatic drainage works is we eat our food and we get all these nutrients. Your blood then delivers those nutrients to your cells. So the nutrients go into your cell, it eats what it needs, and then it pretty much spits back out leftovers and waste of what it's not using. And when it gets rid of this waste, it's going into this fluid around the cell. So then we need to use some kind of movement and massage to open up your lymph vessel, let all of that waste go through it. It goes to the lymph node filters it, and then it delivers it to your detox organs like your kidneys and your liver.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
It's
I
like a
don't even know
huge
if I have much of a
process.
response for that because
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know why we didn't learn much about that in school.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that too. Like your lymphatic system plays a huge part in your overall health. It's not just skin related, but overall health. My clients have told me that they're not getting headaches anymore, jaw pain improves. It's really beneficial for your brain health as well. So we have the lymphatic system, but then our brain has specifically called the glymphatic system. And that's why sleep is really important because when you sleep, it's pretty much cleansing your brain twice as fast. So it's getting rid of any like junk that's built up in there.
Junk is
And
what?
I think like just little bacteria and invaders that get into our body throughout the day. So the best way that I like to describe it is, think about walking through New York City and you have a ton of like smog coming up. In that smog, there's these tiny little particles of just pollution. We breathe it in, it comes into our body, but you need to get it out. So your lymph nodes are working really hard to get all of that out.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it
You
really
know, and it's
is.
also like interesting how we make, I guess, wrong assumptions sometimes.
Hmm.
And I, for some reason, assumed that the lymph nodes were very much like the thyroid, which is obviously not the case because the thyroid is what does hormones, correct?
Yeah, thyroid is more for hormones, but lymphatic drainage does help with hormone regulation because, like I said, everything goes into your cells. Then, when it's not using, it's keeping out in that fluid. So, the fluid needs, we need some kind of manipulation to get the fluid to flow and get out of our body. So, kind of think like a fish tank, as it gets dirty, you have to clean out all of the water and
Hmm.
whatnot. So, it's kind of the same thing in
Yeah, very
your
interesting.
lymphatic system. Yeah.
And I could see how it would benefit the whole body just because you're getting all those things out.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the process of lymphatic drainage. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so with me, I focus specifically because I like to combine lymphatic drainage with lift and sculpt face massage, so you're getting the benefits of both. So when clients come in to see me, I focus heavily on massaging and lifting the face first because I want to really break up a lot of tension that's built up in the muscles. As that tension starts to release, and typically if you have tense muscles, it's lactic acid that's built up in there. So as we release all of that, then I go in and do lymphatic drainage so it's draining out properly.
Very interesting. It's
Yeah.
a very interesting industry that's I'm surprised is not talked about more.
That's how I've discovered a lot of it too. I wish that in the skincare industry, lymphatic drainage was focused on more. I think a big reason why it's not is because there's a learning gap that a lot of people will market something as lymphatic drainage, but it's not true lymphatic drainage. And sometimes just creating a lot of stimulation in the skin does have a direct and an indirect impact on the lymphatic system. That the more circulation we have, yes, you're getting things flowing, but you want to make sure that you're draining before you're circulating because you just don't want to keep adding more and more if
Hmm.
there's already a buildup there.
So what's the drainage process? How, like, what would somebody walks into
Mm-hmm.
your business and they say, okay, I want the lymphatic drainage. What are you doing, like actually
Yeah,
physically?
so physically, I use something called the lymphatic brush, and there's two different brushes. One's a bigger brush, it's a denser bristle, and it has little texture bristles on it. So I use that brush to open up the lymphatic system, open up the lymph nodes, and start to drain everything. So I'm not using my hands when I'm doing lymphatic drainage because it is kind of a difficult technique to do. Um, that's why I found the lymphatic brush. I took her training and it truly changed my business because before I started to use it, well, I would say when I started to incorporate it into my business, immediately my clients texted me saying, I don't know what you did differently, but I feel completely
Oh,
different the next day.
and so now where you said that there's over two, I think 200,
Yeah, 200 lymph nodes in your neck, your chest, and your face.
and how many in the body, or they're just up there?
And the body, 6 to 800.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
where are a couple of them?
So we have our axillary lymph nodes underneath your arms. You have your lymph node. This is called terminus. This is where everything is draining from your neck and your face. You have lymph nodes behind your ears. You have them in your neck. And you have them in the back of your head too. You have them in your sinuses as well.
And do they ever get swollen or anything like that?
Yes. So typically when you're sick, you'll notice that your lymph nodes are getting swollen because the lymph node holds a lot of white blood cells, which is going to fight off any invaders, bacteria, viruses, and things like that. When you're sick, it swells because it's trying to create more white blood cells to attack any of the current invaders.
So which is why like you feel them. You said that they're in
Yeah,
here,
you'll feel all here is super
swollen or
swollen.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is like something like lymphatic drainage good in when you're sick?
No, actually, do not do lymphatic drainage when you're sick because it actually, the lymph node is keeping those bad bacteria and viruses in the little node because it wants to kill it. When you do lymphatic drainage, you're filtering everything out. So you're getting it to leave the lymph node and it's traveling throughout your body. So it will probably make you feel worse. And that actually happened to me that I didn't start to feel good. And I did lymphatic drainage, knowing in my trainings you're not supposed to do it, but of course I wanted to see what it would do. You typically end up getting a detox reaction. So I had a fever, I had a headache, body chills. Yeah, I
Wow,
didn't
that's
feel
really
good.
interesting.
Yeah. It's great to do lymphatic drainage in general to prevent getting sick because you're just constantly getting rid of any little pathogens that don't belong in your body. But when you actually are sick, you do want everything to stay in the lymph node because that's where your white blood cells are.
So talk to me about the process of the actual when it's real. I guess when you're draining it, where is it's going? I guess to the
Where's it
kidneys.
going? Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm doing lymphatic drainage, I'm opening up this part in your collarbone called terminus because everything in your neck and your face is going to drain there. So typically, if you're seeing a ton of skin concerns like acne along the chin and the jawline, or you have puffy eyes, that's because there's a lot of stagnation and a lot of it's in your neck. So in order if everything's draining here, you have to clear here first before you start to go to your face. The nice thing is when you do lymphatic drainage, sometimes even just doing 5 minutes on your neck is going to benefit your face because as you clear everything here, all of this is naturally going to start to flow on its own. So I have a lot of clients that will come to me and say, I have super puffy eyes, and my solution is not even to focus on the eyes first. I want to focus on your neck because I want everything here to clear into this area before I move here.
And then when it clears into the lymph node,
Yeah.
the
Where does
lymph
it
node,
go?
yeah.
So as it goes into your lymph node, it goes back into your veins that will go into the right side of your heart. So lymph is a clear fluid, but it actually starts and ends as blood.
And I guess cleaning it out in the lymph node.
Yeah,
And I guess the white blood cells are killing whatever it doesn't
killing
need.
it. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Very
super
interesting.
intriguing. Yeah, and especially Um, I really got into learning about lymphatic drainage this year, and I had to kind of take it into my own hands because, like I said, my industry slaps the term lymphatic drainage on a lot of things, but it wasn't true lymphatic drainage that I was learning. So I kind of took it into my own hands. I read a lot of books on lymphatic drainage to kind of teach, and then when I trained in the city, that was true lymphatic drainage.
Mm. So one thing that I found really interesting is you said, for example, somebody could have puffy eyes or
Hmm.
acne on the face, and it's
Yeah,
not actually caused by there, it's caused by something in the, like, for example, a neck.
yeah.
What I find interesting about that is just on a similar note, I had recently hurt my knee exercising,
Hmm.
and I went to see somebody to help stretch me out, just to see if there was anything that they could do, and they diagnosed that it had nothing to do with my knee. It was actually muscles in my calf
Yeah.
that were tight, and then they were
Fun.
pulling the tendon that was in the knee. That's why I felt
Yeah.
it there. Actually, not even. They were pulling, and that's why I think they called it the insertion point, where I think where it meets the
The muscle
bone
and the
and the,
bone,
yeah.
yeah.
So she said that that's why I'm feeling it there, but it has nothing to do with that actually being tight. It's tight totally in a
In
different
a different
spot. So
area,
let's
yeah.
work on your calf, and we fix that, and we'll fix your knee. And
Your
it's
knees,
like
yeah.
it's interesting because I find so many areas of life we're just treating symptoms and not necessarily the actual cause
Yes.
of things.
Yeah. And I definitely knew in my business I wanted to take it a step further and not just treat symptoms. I really wanted to get to the root cause. So that's why lymphatic drainage is helping you internally because whatever's going on internally is going to show externally, especially on the skin. I think a lot of people in my industry focus a lot on like heavy routines and using products, but at a certain point, so many products does become still treating symptoms. Don't get me wrong, you do need a set skin routine. Your skin needs to be cleansed and moisturized daily and things like that, but a product routine is only going to get you so far. You have to take care of what's going on the inside because if not, you're still chasing what's going on the outside with products.
Hmm. What's your typical routine?
Typically, I like to start clients out very slow and steady. I will set them out with a cleanser, exfoliating pads, a moisturizer, and SPF. I keep it very simple at first because typically when clients see me, their skin's a bit out of whack, it's not balanced, and it's super dehydrated. So I want to calm it down before we start to advance and do more things. So a simple routine is going to help them first. And then as time goes on, they get more comfortable with it. Then I start to add more things. Like then I'll add in a retinol and a vitamin C because your skin's in a good state that it can actually handle those things instead of it being super stripped and irritated. But Instagram and TikTok tells you you need vitamin C, you need retinol, you need to be exfoliating every single day, and it's really not helping your skin.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Fix the problem first, and
fix the
then
problem first, and then we can go
what's
into.
your personal routine?
Personally, I use a gentle gel cleanser morning and night. At nighttime, you definitely want to double cleanse your skin, so you can go in with an oil cleanser first. And if you have oily skin, it's not bad to use an oil cleanser. It's actually good because oil attaches to oil and will pull everything off. Yeah. So at nighttime, I'll do an oil cleanse, go in another time with a gel cleanser. I'll use something to suppress the melanin in my skin. This way, if we shut off your melanin production in your skin and you're struggling with pigmentation, you can then start to see results of it improving instead of just thinking like more vitamin C to brighten up your skin.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so I'll do that. Moisturizer, I use a toner, and SPF, and that's really it.
Hmm. Let's go back to your business, and you said you've been in this industry for 6 years. You started 2 years ago. Talk to me about the jump from, hey, I'm working as an esthetician for 4 years, and now I want to start my own business.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that leap.
I never wanted to own a business. So the reason why I made the jump from esthetician to business owner was because I was unhappy where I was working, that I didn't like having to have clients in and out super quickly. Clients always feeling like a number. I didn't like how the receptionists were set up and whatnot. So I just wanted to have control in my environment of working as the provider, but also I wanted to set the tone for clients coming in, that it wasn't just super quick in and out. Um, so I would say it was definitely a change, but I do think that life set me up for success with it because at the same time I started networking with other estheticians that were solo and building friendships through that and them recommending to me what I should and shouldn't be doing to be successful like they
Which is
were.
what?
I was recommended a business mentor and I took her program. My two other friends took her program as well, and all three of us did 6 figures in the first year.
Wow,
Yeah.
very interesting. So, like, okay, let's talk business mentors because I've never
Yeah.
had one, but a lot of people that come on this podcast and sit in that chair say that they have either had or have one.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be fully honest. I guess because I come from this I come from the creative space, so there's a lot of like, hey, let me I'm gonna help you get 1 million views
Yeah.
in 6 days, and it's like that's not how it
Realistic.
works. Like
Yeah.
I've done that, and I built a very successful channel, but it took years, and that's
Yeah.
how it works, right? So I get very skeptical about these coaches, and I also am very well versed in the finance industry. So like, there's a lot of financial coaches out there,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, you're selling a $200 course. If you're really making $40 million a year, like that doesn't make sense. Like
No, it's not adding up.
why would you spend your time to make $200, right?
Yeah.
So I get very skeptical, but a lot of people that sit in your chair and have very successful businesses talk about a business coach. Please
Yeah.
enlighten me on them.
So I was confident in picking my business mentor, one, because I had two referrals from her, and I saw what their business was. I saw that they were booked out, they were able to pay themselves. A lot of people in the beginning of business are like, I don't take a paycheck at all. So I definitely saw that they were doing well.
This is the
So
coach
yeah. Um,
in the same
so
industry or different industry?
same industry, yeah. She specifically teaches estheticians how to build to 6 figures, and then also she teaches a course to grow a team. So she does both, like solo estheticians just starting out, and then building a team. So I took her course just for solo estheticians, and I was confident picking her because she's done it already too. So she talked about her story of struggling to get
Sure.
clients in and struggling to grow and whatnot, and then seeing the life that she lived now that she had sold her business. And
When you say course, is it in person or is it online?
no, it was online. It was online. I think it was about 10 weeks.
Like
And
one video a week, or how does that
yeah,
work?
one module a week, and she was teaching it live.
Oh wow, very interesting.
Yeah. So she taught it live, and there was a group chat for all of us to ask questions in. Yeah. And I'm like friends with people that I've never met before just because we were in that same group and you get to network. So I do think this specific business mentorship that I picked, I got really lucky with that it was legitimate and good. And there was a lot of value that came with it, just knowing I was in the same community as other people trying to get the same direction as me.
Do you still have access to them, like that business
Yeah, it's
mentorship?
lifetime access. That's the big thing. If you're taking an online course, don't pay for something that you don't get online access to forever. Because I actually did that once with one of my massage courses, and I tell people, like, don't bother taking it because I paid for it and I only got access to it for a year. So I said that just like,
Yeah.
why would I spend my money on that?
But now, the coach, like, can you reach out to her to ask her a question
Yeah, I've
or?
DM'd her on Instagram before and she'll respond to me.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
so she definitely was really helpful.
Obviously, I'm not asking you to explain the total 10 weeks of the course in 10
Yeah, but
seconds,
like,
but
what does she
yeah,
do?
well, like, give me a couple insights that like
Yeah,
helped grow your go from 0 to 6 figures in
yeah.
the first year.
She definitely taught the mindset that you have to have a business, and that's a huge factor with it too. So just how you're approaching everything that you have to do plays a big part.
What kind of mindset do you need?
Abundance. You have to think like whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Like that saying that if you think you're going to be really successful in business, you're going to go in that direction. But if you think like, well, everything you're telling me to do isn't going to work, like it's not going to work. You have to, you as yourself, you have to get in a right mindset. This way, when you execute everything, it brings back in what you're looking for.
Hmm.
She taught how to bring in new clients, like how to pack an offer like that it's at this value and you're getting it for this much money. And
How did you determine your pricing, and how did you? So, pricing is an interesting thing
mm-hmm.
because I think that people could have the best product in the world or the worst product in the world. It doesn't really matter. It's really about how you perceived value, I guess you could
Yeah,
say. And if people don't perceive the value, it doesn't matter. And for example, gold, right? We could just talk about the asset of gold. Yeah, we can use it for things and stuff like that, but most people don't. We just, if you're gonna invest in gold, you really just, a lot of people just buy gold coins.
yeah,
That's really just a perceived value. We've, as a society, have said this is worth something, right?
mm-hmm.
But when you're trying to sell somebody on that perceived value of your services, or for example, the podcast, like why should somebody come on this podcast, right? Like you have to sell them the value. How did you sell
Yeah.
the value of your services?
I would say the transformation of what they were looking for. That I really tried to target the market of people that felt like they weren't doing anything to prevent aging because they didn't want to take the route of Botox and fillers, but nobody knew what else to do. So that's how I kind of got people
So your demographic is people that weren't doing anything because they didn't want to do what
what
most
the
people do.
general public was doing. Yeah.
So
That,
now how do you actually reach them? So you have your demographic now.
yeah.
You set that, which is great. I think that's more than most businesses even do. Now what? How did you actually reach that demographic?
Yeah, I used Instagram to make my business. I used Instagram to build my business, and I ran a lot of Instagram ads. I would post just educational content on, if you're dealing with this, this is what you have to do. And it reached people.
Okay, a couple questions on that. Um, the majority of your first year's success
Yeah,
came from Instagram,
yeah. The whole thing came from Instagram.
which is wild.
Yeah.
I believe it because I'm granted
It-
like that's
right.
my industry, right?
Yeah.
But businesses don't understand that. So like let's
No.
talk about that a little bit more just because and it's funny because sometimes I feel like it's so ironic. I don't understand it because we can talk about how the ins and outs of this and I would like to, but then it doesn't necessarily perform well on social media. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is ironic because like this is
How?
actually what people need to do to succeed. But so
Yeah.
talk to me about it because you it blows my mind. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but like because again, it's my industry, but I'm happy to hear because it's just kind of confirmation of what I do
Mhm.
that 0 to 6 figures in 1 year just through Instagram. And I
Yeah.
think business owners need to hear that. So share all that you want to on that.
Using Instagram as a business owner, you get to create the concept of that you're in demand right from the beginning.
You got
So
to
you
control the
can,
narrative.
yeah, you get to manipulate your posts to show people like this is what I'm doing and I have people coming in doing this that when people see it, they're going to feel like they're missing out on something and nobody wants to miss out on things. So people are seeing that you're super booked and you're busy and all these cool things that you're bringing into your business and just honestly documenting your daily life because people typically nowadays like to buy from people. It's not necessarily buying from a brand. So say like you work with a company, most of the time people are gonna say, I would rather give you my money than the company my money. So just showing your daily life, I think really helps too because people want to see that you're active and what you're up to and they want to know, oh,
Related to the business or just in general?
honestly, I think just in general. Because even if it's not related to the business, maybe I'm binge watching this show on Netflix and somebody else is like, oh my gosh, I have that in common with Kristina. Or I post that I'm at Pilates all the time. Pilates has nothing really to do with my business, but people will see, oh, okay, like she's active
She's a
and she's
normal
daily.
person.
Yeah, like she's a normal person. This
Are
is what
you a
she's
Gary
doing.
Vee fan?
A little bit,
Because that's a very big Gary Vee concept.
just
Not
to,
just him. I'm sure there's a million
yeah.
people that say it, but that's where I first heard it because he's a huge fan of the New York Jets, right?
Hmm. Yes,
But
exactly. You relate to it.
exactly. So like it's like so if he shares that, it's like okay, well maybe I don't necessarily do business with him because of this, but subconsciously I also, for example, like I love the Jets.
Yeah,
So now I'm like I really kind of like this guy, and then therefore that leads to business. So
yeah,
it's a very funny way that the human psyche works.
yeah.
I want to go back to what you said about your posts, and you
Hmm.
said that some of your first posts and stuff that you're still doing are talking about what you should and shouldn't do. If you have this problem, then do this. To me, that kind of sounds like the industry secrets kind of
Hmm.
thing. And there's two totally different schools of thoughts, and I I lean towards your school of thought, but I want to hear your process. Where the one school of thought is I have to keep the secrets for myself because if I don't, people are going to steal them, or people, why would they need my services?
Hmm.
If they have acne and you're telling them what to do, why would they come in, right?
Yeah,
The other school of thought is like, no, that builds uh, trust in the
yeah,
brand. Like if I tell them what to do and it works, then wow, hey, but okay, maybe I fixed that issue, but I have this issue now, and I'm gonna go to her for
yeah,
that. I lean towards that, but I'm curious on how you decided on that and what your thought process
yeah.
is.
So believed in competitive, I never believed in competition with business. So I do think that sharing your knowledge is building trust within clients, and trust is a main factor with people because if you do come to somebody for one issue and you start to get another issue, you're already going to think this person helped me with one issue, can they help me with the next one? So I do think that sharing a lot of information in the industry is really important because You can find it anywhere. Like if you're not posting it, the next person's going to. So
That's a great point. Yeah,
like I think
sure.
it's more of a mindset on collaboration versus competition.
Mm.
So competition is very like scarce, and you want to gatekeep everything. You don't want people to know because you're just in a fear state that they're going to like leave and not come to your business. But if you're telling people all this information that they're looking for, or they feel like nobody else has told them, or it's starting to connect to them like, oh, it's making sense why what I am doing isn't working and she's saying something else, maybe I should go try her.
I like what you said about it being fear-based. I think that's
um,
interesting. Like people gatekeeping information out of fear of losing clients, out of fear of their competitor doing more better than they are.
yeah,
That's a really I think that's a really great diagnosis if you want to use that of why people think that way.
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about that, just that process. And let's talk about branding versus sales.
Hmm.
How much of it is just branding, saying, "Hey, here's this information," and how much of it is, "Hey, here's this information, by the way." Like, how do you actually get the client in? Is it just because they see that post, or is there a little sales at the end that says, if you want more information, come check me
Yeah,
out? Or do you have specific sale posts? Like,
yeah.
what does that look like?
So, with one of my business mentors, she's given me a blueprint on how to approach social media so I can make certain content, because typically it's built on people buy from emotion, logic, fear. So, if you create your content so people can connect emotionally to it, logically to it, and then some people do buy on fear if you kind of make content based on that.
So you making content for emotion? What would you say it was emotion, logic, and
Emotion,
fear?
logic, fear. Yeah. So, typically emotion would be like, here's like, you want to make your business look really nice. You're going to come in, it's going to smell good, it's going to be really calm setting, and it's quiet. And then logic is, coming to me is going to like fix whatever issue you're dealing with. And then fear would be like creating some kind of offer like, oh, but this offer only stands for the next 5 hours, so it makes you want to
Fear of missing out,
jump on it
or
quickly.
fear of
Yeah,
if I don't do this, maybe my symptoms could get worse. Or
exactly. Yeah.
so now, do all of your posts encompass all of that, or you usually
No.
like do like emotion here, fear here?
Typically, your post should encompass all of that somehow. I don't think they all need to include fear, but some kind of like emotion, logic, offer, something like that. No, all of my posts do not. I do need to get better at creating all of my content so it meshes all together in one, because if you're leaving one out of the other, it's kind of like you you don't want to just educate your clients and then not give them a call to action because they're like, oh, okay, I'm learning all this stuff, but then I don't really
Mm.
know what to do next.
So what would a typical
Um,
call to action look like for you?
Typically, like booking an appointment so you can come in and get more like specific. I can
So
listen to your
if this
specific
helped you
concerns.
and you found this information, you want more specific information, give me a call kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to kind of pivot this a little now. So now you have a successful business,
Hmm.
2 years in, and now you have a location in Woodbury.
Yeah.
When you started, did you have to find a location right away? Were you renting something small? Like, talk to me about that.
Yes. So my journey with finding a location has been crazy because I moved my office 4 times in 2 years.
Well,
Yeah. So I originally started in a salon suite, which as an esthetician isn't the most ideal space because salon suites are typically like an office setting, but for beauty industry professionals. So you're in there with hairstylists, nail techs, waxers. So me
like
wanting
all in the same space or all in like different
all in the
suites?
same building, but
Okay,
there's probably 20 to 30 rooms within the
Like
building.
suite rooms, yeah.
Yeah. So I was dealing with a lot of blow dryers and then people yelling over the blow dryer. It just wasn't a calm setting, so it wasn't really working for me. From there, I moved to an office in a colonial building, and colonial buildings are old, so then I started dealing with old building issues. From there, I just started to rent a space with a massage therapist because she told me like, I'm only here a few days, like why don't we just rent the space until you find something better for you. So I did that for a few months, and then that's when I found my Woodbury office, and it had everything I was always looking for. I have my waiting area space, I have my own bathroom, and then I have the actual treatment room, so it worked out really well.
Now, is it just you, or do you have a team under you?
Yeah, it's just me.
Do you plan to keep it that way, or do you?
I would like to expand in the future just because when you're working solo, it's a risky way to run your business. Like if you get sick, you can't work. If you choose to have children, you can't work. Like you're out on maternity leave. And typically, as you go out on longer leaves, clients still want to get their treatments done. So you're either referring them to somebody else, and then what if they like that person better and whatnot. It's just not the most ideal way to run your business forever. And I don't see myself still being in the treatment room when I'm in my 40s. So I do see myself
So
expanding
what
and
does that
evolving.
transition look like?
I would say the transition of getting out of the treatment room looks like trying to still max my own capacity of being able to take clients and then starting to train people underneath me. So it's pretty much creating like mini versions of me. Because the biggest thing when clients hear me talk about hiring, they're like, no, I will see nobody else but you. But it's just not sustainable long term. So just being able to create and teach people my exact methods so they can perform that on other clients and growing and evolving a business that way.
I've heard an interesting way to hire and a way that most business owners don't hire because again, a lot of people operate out of fear is finding the people that are even better than you. For
Yeah.
example, I work with a lot of video editors, some that work do the photo and video business that I do and some that do the podcast. My goal when finding these people is like I want them to be like
The
I want
best.
yeah, the best. And I'm good, but like this isn't like I wasn't designed to be a video editor.
Yeah.
I learned the trade, right? Some people are designed to do it.
Hmm.
And also I wanted them to send me back the thing and be like, how did you I wanted to ask them, how did you
How do
do
you do
that?
it? Yeah.
Because like that's why would I hire somebody that's
Yeah.
not as good as me or because
Or
I
better.
makes me feel better?
Yeah.
Like no, I want to say, "Hey, I'm sorry client, I can't meet with you today. I'm going to send you this person. You're going to be very happy." And I want them in the back of their head to be like, "Wow, that person was even better."
Yeah.
Because, that's the only way your business is going to grow.
Yeah, it is. And I would say I hear so many people too, and I was one of them. I never wanted to own a business. Like I was happy being an employee, but I think that bad bosses and bad business structures make a lot of people that didn't want to own a business. So I also think if you have this fear of hiring people and fearing that they're going to go off and start their own thing, create a business and an environment that people enjoy coming in and working at and
Hmm.
more like I think it's important boss to employee like collaboration instead of boss is always up here and the employee is always on the bottom.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic to delve into because I've spoken to a couple different estheticians on this podcast, and some of them talk about the turnover rate
Yeah.
and how you spend all this time and all this money investing in this person, and then they learn a lot, and then they go and start their own. And what you said is really interesting is that if they're happy where they are, because you've created an environment where they're happy, why go leave?
Why
Most
would you
people don't
leave?
want to deal with the headache that
Yeah.
really is of being a business owner.
Yeah. I think that the way that people run businesses is starting to change now too, of like more employee satisfaction and whatnot. I do think it's another case that the pendulum swings. Like people either like really, really hate it or they really love it. But I do think as a business owner and a boss, you have to have the mentality like if you create something that people want to work in, they're going to stay. And I think you also have to meet people with where they're at. You know, if you bring somebody and you train them, and 3 or 4 years later, they want to go off and do their thing, they made you money for those 3 or 4 years.
That's a great
Like
perspective.
you both served each other's purpose.
That's a really great
Yeah.
perspective.
So I've listened to other business owners say, like, I've had people come to me and tell me, like, one day they want to build their own business. And her response was, I will give you the best version of me for the next year or two, but I need the same back from you.
I could see that the only argument against that is now you have to find somebody new to start from the bottom to some degree.
Yeah.
But you're right. You did still benefit from it. It's not like they were just hanging on by your coattails for 3 years. They hopefully and the only reason they stayed around is because like you didn't fire them. It's
Yeah.
because they were helping the business.
Yeah. It's also human psychology and nature. Like we look for something that's more comforting and safety versus something that's unpredictable. So owning a business is very unpredictable, but at a certain point you have to pick and choose. Like if you're unhappy in the business that you're working in, you're going to start to feel these growing pains and uncomfortability and you're going to go in the direction like maybe I should just do my own thing. But think of people that work like 9 to 5s, they have a steady salary paycheck, health insurance. It's like, why would you give all of that up to start a business? Even though, yeah, in the end, most business owners, when you're successful, make way more money than that. It's like, which one are you
Trust me,
choosing?
I hear you,
I
man. I haven't had
know.
I've never had a 9 to 5, but
Neither have I.
I haven't had a
Like
steady
steady
income,
salary,
a
yeah.
steady
I'm like, oh my God.
really, really long. And when I did, I was a teenager, and it
Yeah.
was like $18 an hour. So
Yeah.
like, or $15 an
Yeah, you're
hour.
like,
So
okay,
like,
my study paycheck is 300 a week, but
yeah, exactly. Well,
that's
at that
not
point, it was also
you're a
12 years
teenager,
ago. Yeah, it was
yeah.
18,
Like,
12 years, so
yeah,
like very different conversation where my
I
wife is
know.
a nurse.
So it's different.
So she's a totally different thing,
Yeah.
um, situation. But like with the kids, we have now our second kid coming on in October, and we're like, okay, if we were to ever have her consider leaving, that's a lot to leave, the steady income, and
Yes.
thankfully, it's a conversation we can even have, but
Yeah,
it's scary, especially
it is.
particularly because like she works for a really large corporation, so they have really good health benefits.
Mhm.
And then you add like all these things there's that
Yeah.
business owners have to deal with,
Yeah.
and then the ebbs and flows, of business. Like I had a really good third quarter, but I know historically that the fourth quarter can sometimes be really slow. So how do I plan accordingly for that? And if
Right.
if I'm the sole provider for the family, how do I deal with that? What does
Yeah.
that look like?
It's tough.
I'm just trying to navigate.
The predictive, like trying to predict the future, and you still don't really know if it's
No,
gonna go in the
exactly.
prediction way that
So
you.
talk to me about that actually, because you're only 2 years in business.
Yeah.
Have you found any trends in it, or is it just constantly going up right now because you're
Mhm.
you're getting started? What does that look like right now?
I would say it definitely still does ebb and flow, and it like seasons do yo-yo.
So what are your seasons then?
I always know I'm my busiest from November through to April. May to
Really?
September it starts to slow down, yeah, because people travel, and summertime a lot of people want to be at the beach and doing all these different things. So I especially notice Saturdays in the summertime slow down too, because if you do work 9 to 5 and it's nice out on a Saturday, then they want to go outside.
I'm just surprised in the middle of January somebody, I
Oh
guess,
yeah, like
I
January and February are one of my busiest months.
really,
Yeah,
I just figured nobody has any money to do anything in
right.
those
I don't
months.
know. It's always great for me.
That's great. I'm happy to hear
Yeah.
that. Let's go back really quickly to you mentioned the pendulum swing.
Yeah.
And we were the context that we were talking about it was when we were talking about employers. Originally, you mentioned it was something else, but now with like the
The
people health
industry.
and the
Yeah.
industry. But now we're talking about with employment,
Hmm.
and it's really interesting. But they kind of align. I think as a society, we're leaning. The pendulum is swinging more towards like personal health and treating others better, and like less corporate mindset, and
Yeah.
it's just really interesting because the pendulum life is very much a pendulum, like you said, and I
Yeah.
think that sometimes we just swing very, very, very far in one direction. And from probably the 80s until like 2020, the 40-year period, it was all like super corporate. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I've had people on this podcast, and I've also had friends that like were in the restaurant industry, and they were like 15 to 20 years ago, if you did something wrong in the restaurant, like the chef would like cut you with a knife. Like it
Yeah.
was
It's
like, but
crazy.
he's like, now if I did that, I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
And it's like it's totally interesting. Or they would be like, I was 15 years old doing lines of coke, and
Yeah.
now it's like the strongest drug we have in the thing is caffeine.
Hmm.
And half my crew is drinking decaf.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting as society
How
shifts. But
everything
also
has
like you're
changed.
saying, like it was totally acceptable 20 years ago for an employer to just scream and the boss be a
Yes.
jerk, and that was the typical boss. But now it's like people are like, well, why would I work for that at this point? We just swing.
Why would I?
It's really
Yeah.
interesting how like society's shifting.
Yeah. I think it's because a lot of people, well, one, I think a lot of people were sold the lie of the corporate 9 to 5 is the end all be all greatest thing. And then you get into it and you're like, this is hell on
Yeah.
earth. I can't do it.
And I think there was no other option.
That
Now
too.
with the internet and social media and there's AI's
Yeah.
unbelievable accessibility,
Yeah.
that people didn't have before.
No.
Anybody can grab a camera and become quote unquote famous overnight or build a
Yeah.
business. Let me say,
Build a
build a
business
business
pretty much.
overnight.
Yeah.
And that wasn't accessible in the
No.
80s, 90s, and even early 2000s.
Yeah. It was completely different.
Talk to me about what's next for you in your business.
Truthfully, I don't know.
So what does that mean right now? So
I
kind of
would
just
say like
continuing what you're doing?
my first year I was very structured in like what goals I wanted to hit, and now that I'm a little bit more seasoned, I'm more focused on how do I just become the best and the most well-known expert for lymphatic drainage? Like, how do I really master this foundation that I want to
How do you do that?
build and create? Yeah, I'm like, I read books all the time. I go on Amazon and I just type in lymphatic drainage books. Whatever books come up, they're probably going to be very repetitive. I'll read them. I also reread books because people will read a book once, but you completely forget 6 months later what's in the book. So reading definitely helps. And I think just giving myself the space to evolve and go in whatever direction I feel I'm meant to go in. So I think I'm just kind of keeping myself open
So what
for
are
a
you
lot of
interested in
opportunity.
potentially going into?
I definitely love lymphatic drainage, so I still want to stay in that area right now. But I don't know. Sometimes I think traveling, but I also don't want to do home appointments. So I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work. Um, I don't know. I think I just really want to somehow combine like a lot of travel opportunities with my work.
Hmm. When you say travel, does that mean like travel to Europe or travel to the island?
I would say like travel for more opportunities in my industry of going to different events and
Okay,
conferences and
very
stuff like
interesting.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I'll talk about is the power of, I guess, community. You
Mhm.
mentioned conferences, but you've also mentioned the people that you become friendly with through your mentorship. Talk to me about the power of just either knowing people in the industry or just business owners, or
Yeah.
like, have you found that important?
Absolutely. Like you cannot be in business and not have friends and people that you know and that aren't in business. Like you need to network when you're in business because sometimes like a nail tech will give me a referral to a great accountant
Hmm.
and everything is a full circle. So that's great because it takes the guessing game out of now I have to go find this or whatever. So even if I see one of my friends is posting that she has like a video photographer, I'm like, okay, like I'll go use that person.
Hmm.
So the referrals within the network really
Yeah.
help.
Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. I learned a lot, particularly. I think at some point I might get my lymph nodes drained at some
Yeah.
point because I'm like, I don't want any toxins left in me. So,
No.
so you sold me,
Yeah.
and I hope that you sold some other people on this because
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm all for that kind of stuff, and the more homeopathic. No, I don't know if that's considered homeopathic because it's really not done at home. It's done through a professional. But I guess,
Well,
uh,
you can do it at home. So I sell the lymphatic brush that I use on
really,
my clients. Yeah, I sell it to them for at home and then I give them small video tutorials and like,
really.
okay, you're gonna start with just your neck for the next
So
month.
why would you sell them on that rather than, I'm curious, I'm just totally
Yeah,
curious. Like why, what's your mentality behind that of selling them something that's only a one-time purchase for them
yeah.
and then they would stop coming to you for that service?
Because they're not gonna stop coming to you for the service. Because even if you can massage yourself, it still feels better when somebody else does it.
You
So
can cook the same dish at home, but it tastes so much better.
when you go out to
It's
eat,
the same
yeah.
conversation I have with my wife all the time. We have,
Yeah.
we have a graveyard of coffee machines
Yeah.
because she's always looking for the next one, but it
You still
always
go to
tastes better
Starbucks.
when you just go go get it instead of coffee shop or
Yeah, it's
somewhere else.
true. Yeah, and plus,
Oh
like,
man,
even if like I get facials myself, so even if I go a while without getting a facial, but I'm still doing everything I need to do at home, I'll go get a facial and I leave and I'm like, I really needed that. Like, I feel such a difference.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.